The palace doors may be closed, but the battle inside is louder than ever. Camilla is fighting not for the crown, not for status, but for her daughter's inheritance. And standing firmly in her way is King Charles himself. As whispers of asset transfers swirl through royal corridors, one question ignites a firestorm. Why is Charles determined to redirect key holdings to Catherine instead? What began as private disagreement is now a silent war. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. What makes this clash explosive is not the size of the estates involved, but what they represent. Behind carefully managed public appearances, reports suggest heated discussions over inheritance planning have been unfolding for months. Camilla, fiercely protective of her daughter's future, is said to have pressed for guarantees, not symbolic gestures, but tangible security that would ensure her bloodline is not overshadowed within the royal framework. To her, this is maternal duty. It is about stability, recognition, protection against the unpredictable tides of palace politics. But Charles sees something larger. Insiders whisper that he has drawn a firm line between personal wealth and assets intrinsically tied to the crown. Private estates may be negotiable, but holdings connected to royal continuity, influence, and future authority are, in his view, strategic pillars. And those pillars, he insists, must reinforce Catherine, the woman destined to stand beside William as queen. This is not a casual preference. It is an institutional calculation. By strengthening Catherine's financial footing, Charles is, in effect, fortifying the next era of monarchy. That distinction has become the fault line. Camilla reportedly argues that personal loyalty and family obligation cannot be erased by institutional logic. Charles counters that monarchy survives only when personal desires are secondary to long-term stability. The emotional undercurrents are impossible to ignore. Loyalty collides with legacy, love intersects with power, and beneath the surface, quiet resentment simmers. For Camilla, this may feel like history repeating itself, her position again questioned, her influence again measured against Catherine's rising prominence. Advisors within the palace are said to be divided. Some caution that denying Camilla's requests risks alienating the queen consort at a delicate moment in Charles' reign. Others argue that redirecting assets toward Catherine sends a message of continuity and unity centered on the future sovereign. The symbolism alone carries weight. Assets are not just properties, they are endorsements. They signal where the monarchy's confidence lies. And right now, that signal appears unmistakable. Early signs of this disagreement have reportedly been visible in subtle ways: shifts in estate management discussions, quiet restructuring plans, private consultations that excluded certain figures. What seemed like routine planning has revealed itself as strategic positioning. And once strategy enters the conversation, trust becomes fragile. Because if assets define influence, then who receives them defines the narrative of succession. This is no longer a simple domestic debate. It is a confrontation between two visions of royal legacy. Camilla fights to secure her daughter's place in history. Charles insists on consolidating strength around Catherine and the future king. Both believe they are protecting what matters most. Both believe they are acting responsibly. And in that conviction lies the true intensity of this conflict. But this isn't simply about money, it's about legacy. And legacy inside the monarchy is a weapon. In royal families, inheritance is rarely about numbers. It's about power, influence, control of the future. Camilla's fight may appear maternal, but insiders suggest it's deeply strategic. If assets shape legacy, then whoever controls them shapes history. And Charles' refusal isn't just financial resistance, it's a declaration about who truly defines the next chapter of the crown. Behind the polished language of estate planning lies a far more delicate reality. In a monarchy, the line between private wealth and symbolic authority is rarely clear. A country house may appear personal, yet its history binds it to the crown. An investment portfolio may seem individual, yet its distribution sends a message about allegiance and long-term vision. These blurred boundaries are where tension thrives. Camilla understands this. She knows that securing assets for her daughter is not merely about financial comfort, it is about anchoring her place within a system that often privileges bloodlines tied directly to the throne. For Camilla, asset security becomes a shield, a guarantee that her daughter will not fade into the margins of royal history. once the spotlight inevitably shifts to William and Catherine. In a blended royal family, visibility can disappear quickly. Influence can evaporate without structural support. By fighting for inheritance now, she may be attempting to future-proof her lineage before the balance of power settles permanently around the next sovereign household. This is maternal instinct. Yes, but it is also political foresight. Charles, however, frames the redistribution differently. To him, consolidating assets around Catherine is not exclusion, it is reinforcement. Catherine's role within the institution grows more central with each passing year. Public trust gravitates toward her. Stability is associated with her presence. By channeling resources in her direction, Charles may believe he is strengthening the monarchy's core during a fragile transition period. He sees the future not as divided households, but as a unified front under William and Catherine's leadership. Yet perception complicates intention. A visible disagreement over inheritance during an era of economic uncertainty risks projecting division at the highest level. The monarchy survives on cohesion. Even whispers of discord can erode confidence. And when blended families clash over legacy, history reminds us that emotional fractures often become public spectacle. The echoes are impossible to ignore. Royal households have fractured before over similar tensions, loyalty pulled between spouse and successor, love weighed against duty. At the center of this psychological struggle lies a quiet but powerful question. Is this about money or about optics? By insisting assets strengthen Catherine's future, Charles sends a symbolic message about who anchors the monarchy's destiny. By resisting, Camilla signals that her branch of the family refuses to be sidelined. Neither position is trivial. Each carries implications that ripple beyond personal relationships into the very image of the crown. The tension between personal devotion and institutional obligation sharpens with every negotiation. Charles must balance affection for his wife with the weight of kingship. Camilla must weigh loyalty to her husband against loyalty to her daughter. Love, in this context, is never simple. It is layered with responsibility, expectation, and the unspoken understanding that the monarchy always comes first. And if legacy is the true battlefield, then Catherine stands at the very center of the storm. Catherine was never born into royalty, she earned her place in it. And now, Charles appears determined to secure her position not just symbolically, but financially. By insisting that key assets flow toward the future queen, is he strengthening the monarchy or provoking the most personal confrontation of his reign? Because empowering Catherine may mean sidelining Camilla's deepest priorities. Over the years, Catherine has transformed from an outsider navigating palace protocol into the institution's most stabilizing presence. Her composure under scrutiny, her disciplined restraint, her unwavering alignment with royal duty have elevated her beyond mere popularity. She represents continuity without controversy, reliability without scandal. In a monarchy that has endured turbulence, she has become a steady axis. And Charles, seasoned by decades of observing public mood, understands the value of stability more than anyone. Public trust in Catherine is not accidental. It has been cultivated through patience, consistency, and quiet strength. She does not chase influence. It gravitates toward her. That makes her, in many eyes, the safest long-term investment for the crown's future. If William is the heir by birthright, Catherine is the emotional bridge between tradition and modernity. By channeling key assets toward her household, Charles may believe he is fortifying the monarchy's next chapter against uncertainty. This is where vision diverges. Camilla's fight centers on protection, securing her daughter's place within a system that has historically favored direct heirs. Charles' insistence centers on preservation, consolidating resources where they most reinforce the throne's stability. Neither motive is trivial. Both are rooted in loyalty. But loyalty to family can collide sharply with loyalty to the crown. And when those loyalties intersect, friction becomes inevitable. Perceived favoritism adds fuel to the fire. Redirecting assets toward Catherine, even under the banner of institutional strength, sends a symbolic message. It signals where confidence lies. It defines who carries the future. For Camilla, that symbolism can feel like erasure, a subtle confirmation that despite her title, her branch of the family remains peripheral. The emotional weight of that perception cannot be underestimated. Acceptance within the monarchy was hard-won for her. Watching influence shift visibly away may reopen old wounds she thought were healed. Strengthening Catherine's financial foundation also strengthens William's authority. Resources translate into autonomy. Autonomy reinforces power. By prioritizing the heir's household, Charles ensures a smoother transition when the time comes. It is strategic, calculated, and undeniably regal in its foresight. But strategy often leaves personal casualties. The optics of prioritizing one woman's future over another's maternal concerns create a narrative that is difficult to contain once exposed. Behind closed doors, frustration reportedly simmers. Camilla's circle senses the recalibration. Invitations, consultations, decision-making processes, subtle shifts that suggest influence is consolidating elsewhere. These are not dramatic exiles, but quiet rebalancing acts. And quiet changes can sting more deeply than public rejection, because they signal permanence. The contrast between Catherine's ascending centrality and Camilla's defensive stance sharpens with each passing development. Charles may see reinforcement. Camilla may see displacement. Both are interpreting the same decision through entirely different emotional lenses. And in that divergence lies the heart of this conflict, a monarchy attempting to evolve, while its most intimate relationships strain under the pressure of legacy. But while Catherine's position strengthens, Camilla is not retreating, she is pushing back harder than ever. Camilla has fought her entire life for acceptance inside the monarchy. She endured public scrutiny, private resistance, and years of emotional exile. Now, faced with what she sees as a threat to her daughter's future, she is not stepping aside quietly. This isn't just about assets, it's about recognition. About ensuring her bloodline is not erased from the royal ledger. For decades, Camilla's presence within the royal structure was contested terrain. She was measured against memory, judged against expectation, and scrutinized under a spotlight that rarely softened. Legitimacy did not arrive easily. It was earned through endurance, through patience, through surviving moments when retreat might have been easier. That long road forged resilience. And resilience, once hardened, does not fold under pressure. Now that pressure feels intensely personal. Protecting her daughter is not a political maneuver, in her mind it is instinct. Maternal resolve overrides diplomatic caution. Insiders suggest that conversations behind palace doors have grown sharper, more emotionally charged. Not explosive in public, but piercing in private. The tone reportedly shifted from negotiation to confrontation. Because when a mother believes her child's future is at stake, restraint becomes difficult. The psychological weight of comparison lingers heavily. Catherine's ascent has been steady, celebrated, widely embraced. Camilla cannot ignore that shift. To watch influence consolidate around the future queen while her own maternal priorities are questioned may reopen insecurities long buried. Feeling secondary not in title, but in long-term vision cuts deeply. She fought for acknowledgement. She fought for belonging. And now, she perceives the center of gravity moving away once more. Advisors close to the situation have allegedly urged caution. If this dispute spills into public awareness, reputational damage could be severe. A monarchy already navigating economic scrutiny cannot afford internal division framed as favoritism or exclusion. The optics of a queen consort battling for her daughter's inheritance risk igniting narratives of greed or ambition, even if the reality is far more nuanced. The stakes are no longer confined to family. They threaten institutional cohesion. This conflict also exposes the delicate balance of a blended royal household. Loyalty in such a structure is never linear. It is layered, complex. Charles stands between wife and future queen. Camilla stands between spouse and child. William and Catherine observe from the periphery, aware that any decision reshapes the emotional terrain. These shifting loyalties test bonds that once seemed secure. Camilla is not isolated. She maintains quiet alliances within palace circles, individuals who respect her journey, who believe her daughter deserves recognition beyond courtesy titles. These alliances are not rebellious, but they are strategic. Support does not need to be loud to be influential. And influence, when organized discreetly, can alter outcomes in ways that surprise even seasoned advisors. What makes this moment particularly volatile is the realization that relationships may not return to their previous equilibrium. Words exchanged in private linger. Perceptions, once formed, harden. Trust, once strained, requires more than apology to repair. Camilla's defiance signals that she is prepared to withstand tension rather than surrender her position. And in doing so, she transforms this from quiet disagreement into a defining confrontation. Yet the deeper this struggle goes, the more it reveals an uncomfortable truth about Charles himself. King Charles now faces a choice that cuts deeper than any policy decision. Does he protect his wife's wishes or fortify the future of the monarchy through Catherine? His decision may define how history judges him. Because in the end, kings are remembered not for comfort, but for sacrifice. And sacrifice always demands someone loses. This is not merely a financial debate for Charles. It is a test of identity. For decades, he waited to wear the crown, navigating public criticism and private complexity. He understands better than most that monarchy demands restraint, calculation, and at times, emotional distance. Yet now the calculation is painfully intimate. On one side stands the woman who stood beside him through scandal and scrutiny. On the other stands the future queen, whose strength and public trust represent stability for the next generation. Balancing personal loyalty with institutional survival is a delicate act, and Charles has always seen himself as a steward of continuity. His long-term focus is not measured in months but in decades. He thinks about William's reign, about the durability of the crown beyond his own lifetime. Strengthening Catherine's position, from his perspective, is not favoritism, it is preparation. It is about ensuring that when the time comes, there are no cracks in the foundation of the next era. Yet preparation carries emotional cost. As a husband, Charles cannot ignore Camilla's distress. He understands her journey, her sacrifices, the battles she fought to secure her place within the institution. To deny her request risks alienating her at a moment when unity should feel strongest. The strain between monarch and spouse grows heavier, because these roles cannot be separated easily. When he speaks as king, he may wound as husband. When he comforts as husband, he may weaken his stance as king. There is also a deeper fear beneath his decision, making the fear of repeating fractures that once defined his own family's history. Royal households have fractured before under the pressure of divided loyalties. Charles knows how personal conflict can spill into public crisis. He knows how narrative shapes memory. And perhaps that awareness drives him to consolidate power around what he perceives as the safest future. Choosing legacy over intimacy is not heartless, but it is heavy. Symbolically, directing assets toward Catherine sends a message that the crown's long-term survival outweighs immediate comfort. Advisors reportedly reinforce this perspective, urging stability above sentiment. They remind him that monarchy endures when leaders think beyond emotion. But even the strongest counsel cannot erase the ache of personal consequence. Some observers suggest this dispute reveals deeper insecurities. For a king who waited so long to ascend, there may be an urgency to secure his legacy quickly and decisively. Ensuring Catherine's dominance in the institutional framework may feel like control in an otherwise unpredictable era. It may be less about exclusion and more about certainty. But certainty rarely comforts those who feel sidelined. In the quiet moments between official duties, Charles must weigh more than property. He must weigh trust, marriage, memory, history. The decision he makes will echo not just through estate records, but through relationships that define his final years on the throne. And as the emotional temperature rises, even the thickest palace walls struggle to contain the pressure building within. But as the internal conflict intensifies, palace walls are beginning to feel less secure. Secrets rarely stay buried in royal households. And now, whispers of this inheritance battle are leaking beyond private corridors. Courtiers are nervous. Headlines are circling. If the public senses division at the highest level, the consequences could ripple far beyond family tension. Because perception, in monarchy, can be as powerful as reality. At first, it was contained murmurs among staff, quiet recalculations in estate offices, tense conversations cut short when doors opened. But royal households are ecosystems of information. What one aide knows, another suspects. What one advisor questions, another quietly confirms. It did not take long for speculation to seep outward. Journalists began probing subtle shifts in estate management. Commentators started connecting dots that once seemed unrelated. and suddenly a private dispute transformed into a narrative waiting to explode. Media speculation about estate restructuring added fuel to the fire. Words like reallocation and strategic consolidation appeared in analysis columns, hinting at something deeper beneath bureaucratic language. The suggestion that Catherine might benefit significantly while Camilla's daughter was sidelined ignited emotional reactions. Supporters of the future queen framed it as institutional prudence. Critics described it as exclusion. In a monarchy built on symbolism, every redistribution carries moral weight. The timing only complicates matters. In an era of economic strain, when citizens scrutinize privilege more sharply than ever, visible division at the highest level risks undermining public confidence. The crown's authority rests not merely on tradition, but on perceived unity. If the monarchy appears fractured by internal rivalry, it feeds narratives of detachment and self-interest, and perception, once shaped, is difficult to reverse. Beyond domestic reaction, there are international implications. Commonwealth nations observe the monarchy closely, measuring its cohesion and stability. Any sign of discord can prompt deeper conversations about relevance and allegiance. Charles understands that symbolic strength travels across borders. A divided royal household weakens that signal. What begins as an inheritance disagreement could ripple into diplomatic unease if not managed carefully. The monarchy's relationship with public trust has always been delicate. Scandals in the past have taught hard lessons about transparency and accountability. Now, even rumors of favoritism can stir old doubts. Social media accelerates this vulnerability. Conversations unfold instantly, often without context or restraint. A single leak, a single anonymous quote can reshape the entire narrative overnight. Behind closed doors, efforts to control the story intensify. Communications teams monitor speculation. Advisors craft carefully neutral responses. Meetings stretch longer, strategies grow more defensive. Yet the harder one tries to suppress a narrative, the more compelling it becomes. Silence invites interpretation. Denial invites suspicion. And every attempt to contain the situation underscores its seriousness. There is a growing realization within palace walls that this conflict may soon outpace internal management. Once public discourse crystallizes around sides, nuance disappears. It becomes a question of loyalty, of fairness, of moral judgment. And moral judgment is rarely kind to institutions perceived as divided. The inheritance battle, once framed as private negotiation, now teeters on the edge of becoming a defining public controversy. Camilla's resolve, Charles's strategy, Catherine's silent position all are subject to interpretation by a world that thrives on drama. And if that interpretation hardens into polarization, the crown may face a challenge far greater than asset distribution. And when the public begins choosing sides, the crown faces its most dangerous test. The monarchy thrives on unity, but unity is cracking. Supporters of Catherine frame Charles as visionary. Supporters of Camilla call it betrayal. The narrative is no longer private. It's public, emotional, polarizing. And once loyalty becomes tribal, even the most powerful institutions can fracture from within. The public reaction has not been subtle. It has split along emotional fault lines. Some see Camilla as a mother standing firm, refusing to let her daughter's future be quietly diminished. They view her fight as human, relatable, even courageous. Others interpret Charles's stance as necessary leadership, a king prioritizing institutional continuity over personal sentiment. In this divide, sympathy becomes currency. And the crown, accustomed to reverence, now finds itself navigating judgment. Social media has intensified the polarization. Narratives spread rapidly, shaping perception before facts can stabilize. Camilla is portrayed alternately as fiercely protective or strategically ambitious. Catherine, though silent, becomes the symbolic beneficiary of this tension. Her composure, her refusal to engage publicly, fuels speculation. Silence in monarchy can signify discipline, but it can also invite interpretation. Every quiet gesture, every absence of comment, becomes evidence in a debate she has not entered. William stands uncomfortably at the center of this storm. As heir, his future authority is directly tied to how this conflict resolves. Publicly, he remains measured. Privately, the strain is unavoidable. Supporting his father risks distancing his stepmother. Expressing empathy toward Camilla could complicate his wife's position. In blended families, loyalty is rarely simple. Within a royal framework, it becomes even more delicate. The emotional toll is subtle but real. Conversations once easy may now feel weighted. Celebrations once unified may carry unspoken tension. Family gatherings reportedly have grown more cautious. Words are chosen carefully. Subjects are navigated with precision. Beneath formal smiles lies awareness that trust once shaken does not fully restore overnight. Speculation about long-term impact grows louder. Will this disagreement leave scars? Can Charles and Camilla return to equilibrium after such visible divergence? Or will quiet resentment linger beneath future decisions? This situation also exposes a broader truth about modern blended royal families. The institution was built on lineage, but today's monarchy is layered with complex personal histories. Navigating inheritance in such a structure is never merely administrative. It touches identity, belonging, and recognition. Camilla's insistence reflects the vulnerability of entering a legacy not originally hers. Charles's resolve reflects the weight of preserving a legacy that must endure beyond individual relationships. Public perception now exerts pressure that cannot be ignored. Polls, commentary, and headlines shape the atmosphere around Charles's eventual decision. If he appears to bend, critics may question his firmness. If he remains unyielding, detractors may accuse him of emotional detachment. Leadership under scrutiny requires balance, but balance becomes harder when narratives harden into sides. The monarchy's greatest strength has always been its ability to project continuity amid turbulence. Yet continuity depends on cohesion, and cohesion depends on trust. As the public chooses allegiances, as opinions crystallize, the stakes rise beyond private inheritance planning. They transform into a referendum on values: loyalty versus legacy, heart versus hierarchy. But beneath public debate lies the final, inevitable question: who ultimately controls the crown's future? When history looks back at this moment, it won't focus on numbers. It will ask who defined the monarchy's next chapter. Camilla fights for her daughter's security. Charles insists on fortifying Catherine's future reign. Two visions, two loyalties, one crown. And in the silence between them, the future of the royal legacy hangs suspended. The long-term implications stretch far beyond estate documents and signatures. Asset distribution inside a royal structure is never neutral. It shapes influence. It frames hierarchy. It signals permanence. If Catherine's household emerges stronger, more financially fortified, her path toward queenship becomes not only ceremonial but structurally reinforced. Stability gathers around her. Authority consolidates quietly but decisively. And with that consolidation comes a message that the institution has chosen its center of gravity. For Camilla's daughter, the question lingers uncomfortably in the background: will security ever feel guaranteed? Titles may endure, but influence fluctuates. In a monarchy recalibrating for the future, peripheral branches risk fading as attention narrows toward the heir and his consort. Camilla's determination reflects an understanding of this reality. She knows how easily narrative can eclipse lineage. She knows how quickly prominence can shift. And once that shift occurs, reversing it becomes nearly impossible. Catherine's strengthened position carries undeniable symbolic weight. She stands as the embodiment of continuity, of disciplined transition from one reign to the next. By channeling resources toward her role, Charles effectively frames her as the institutional anchor. That choice shapes not only the next decade, but the next generation. It defines what kind of monarchy will emerge: centralized, streamlined, focused tightly around the direct line of succession. Yet Charles' legacy now intertwines with this decision. History will not measure him solely by speeches or ceremonies. It will measure him by the structures he leaves behind. Did he preserve unity, or did he allow fractures to deepen? Did he balance heart and hierarchy wisely, or did he tilt too far toward calculation? Kings are judged by outcomes long after their intentions fade. And this outcome remains unresolved. The monarchy itself is evolving into something more complex than tradition alone. It is no longer a simple linear dynasty. It is a blended institution navigating modern expectations and layered loyalties. That transformation is not gentle. It carries emotional cost. Conversations once private have hardened into ideological divides. Smiles in public may conceal strain in private. The emotional scars of this battle may not be visible, but they will influence trust for years to come. Beneath every argument about estates lies a deeper truth. This was never truly about money. It was about permanence. Recognition. Control over how history records loyalty and love. Camilla's fight speaks to maternal endurance. Charles' insistence reflects institutional guardianship. Catherine's silence underscores her role as both beneficiary and symbol. Each figure represents a different facet of the crown's identity, and yet, an unresolved tension lingers. Even if a final agreement is reached, even if assets are allocated and statements are crafted, has something already shifted irreversibly? Once division is acknowledged, it cannot be entirely forgotten. Trust must be rebuilt deliberately. Respect must be reaffirmed intentionally. The monarchy may project continuity, but internally, it must reconcile the quiet cost of this confrontation. Because inside the monarchy, inheritance is never just wealth, it is power. And power always demands a price. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in next one.